Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another batch of Propagandacast news with me, your host, Imperial Dane, covering here the latest updates to the Balance Preview mod. And so far, they're continuing to refine sort of what's been primarily focused here lately. Half-tracks, for the flak half-track specifically, penal troopers, guardsmen, and I think that's sort of largely in this case. Basically, for the flak half-track, it now requires medics to be built, which I think makes it actually a bit too expensive to get to. I mean, it ends up being more than expensive to get than the looks, but I still don't think it's going to be more worth it than the looks. So they're going to have to lower the cost on the other end if it's just there to delay time. Otherwise, it's just going to completely drop off the radar, I think, to an extent, because it's just going to be too expensive for the point it hits into, even with the buffs it did get. It's not that utilitarian, if you will. Furthermore, the 2-2 gets a small buff to its machine gun. They figured that wasn't good enough, so that gets buffed. That's nice. Should help it hunt down snipers a bit better and sort of deal with infantry. Nice. Overall, the biggest sort of change basically happened to the Soviets. Basically, now guardsmen can repurchase weapons they lose separately, like DP light machine guns and the PTRS. Basically, meaning again, they drop it, they can actually replace it, which they couldn't do before, which is actually a bit surprising, since most other units could. So, yeah. That's great, so that should certainly help out the Russians. They're getting most out of the guardsmen. And then the penal troopers, we've really seen a lot of changes get more. Basically, the sticky satch was apparently not sticky, but has now actually been made sticky, though it has a really short range, meaning you can get out of it before it's done throwing. You can basically dodge it that way, so it doesn't have a very long homing range. It's not going to be, Thor's really, really big sticky hammer with loads of explosives in it. So that's basically one change there. Also now, once you hit tier 4 with your as the Soviets, and so you already got an upgrade with PTRSs, you can actually upgrade them with a third PTRS further turn into an anti-tank unit, basically. Meaning they will, as you sort of progress, basically turn into just even more anti-tank than the guards, but of course they will be good versus infantry. That's of course something you have to keep in mind there. But that further allows them to just specialize into the anti-tank role. Further on, there was an initial change some time ago. They're back one of the previous sort of balance change previews where they sort of stuck some submachine guns on top of the flamethrower. They've returned that now because they sort of feel like, they want to bring it back, but they don't want to make them too good at range as well with it. So basically, they're just throwing submachine guns on them. That way, basically meaning you can either have them sort of as an anti-tank unit, a long-range infantry unit, or sort of a close-quarters assault unit, meaning the penal would become extremely utilitarian, really. Very, very utilitarian with sort of numerous ranges of engagement, overall numerous areas where they can sort of be pretty nasty. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. That one might worry me a bit, as you might at some point just seem to swarm in there with a lot of submachine guns and flamethrowers, so they need to sort of balance that one correctly and sort of make it cost the appropriate cost. It could be interesting, and of course they removed it in the first place. Of course they were, would you just make them shock troopers worthless, and certainly not a lot of people use shock troopers. So who knows? Might go either way, really. Then again, they might just go for shock troopers. Again, the shock troopers are going to be more, bulletproof, or they could just make the penal troopers then easier to kill, thus creating more reason to go for the shock troopers. I mean, there's avenues there of thought that can be explored, but that's pretty much it there. Some bug fixes and the likes, but nothing for, say, the Wehrmacht Panther. The 250 hardware I still think, but really it's the Wehrmacht Panther I really think we need to look at the moment. It's just in a slightly awkward position where it needs a bit more to really be worth it. So I would wish they'd go for something there. But otherwise, it's nice to see they're just still trying to get the penal troopers right, which have been sort of a rather maligned unit for its existence. And so I suppose creating a super utility unit could work out, but at the same time could create a bit of a worrying precedence. But we'll see how that works out. We'll have to see how that works out. But that sort of covers it. There's also a small 2 versus 2 tournament going on with the Balance Preview mod where Relegate offering a bunch of supplies. You can sign up for that. At the same time, it's going to be happening right as the day, as I mentioned. In fact, I'm having right as this video goes out. So, yeah, I might have been a bit too late there. But in theory, again, if it isn't, you can sign up and join in, have some fun there. Maybe, have some good fights. So, that is all for this week's news. This is Imperial Dane signing off, and see you all another time. Cheers.